friends get together so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try the things that they love. Nick,
Marcus, no one can understand what you're saying at all. Guys,
Nick over there.
this is Nick. I'm Nick, aka Laurie Strode. Can you even see I'm wearing a costume right now?
I see blonde hair and
You're ridiculous. Ridiculous. Well, for those listening, we have Halloween Kills here. We are in full regalia. I am Laurie Strode. Michael, you are death. You are destruction. I must kill you. And Marcus over there is aka Michael Myers, aka Mr. Halloween himself. And guys, why are we dressed like this? Because it's Kill 'em If You Got 'em month, aka Spooky Boys month, where we do everything horror, spooky, and thriller related. And last time we did this podcast, we did Halloween, and now we're doing Halloween Kills. It's that easy. That's what we're doing. Welcome to the show. We are streaming live Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we release on Mondays. Marcus, Jesus Christ. And I'm laughing because Marcus came in full Michael Myers regalia and has already abandoned it because he couldn't see.
I couldn't see.
Talk.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk. It was a lot. It was hard to manage
now that
the
you can
stream.
see, how's my Laurie Strode?
It's nice. Oh, I like it. I like it.
Guys, if you missed our Squid Game episode, that is when I lost a bet to Marcus and he decided I had to be Laurie Strode for this podcast. Go check that out. Leave us 5-star reviews on iTunes. Join the Patreon. Join our community. Join this show. We are Now Try This.
I could not hear you. I could not see you. I could not do anything.
Oh, Big Jump, you came in and you hadn't seen Halloween yet. That's okay. Go watch it.
We'll wait. go watch it.
You go watch it. We'll wait right here. We'll get back when you're back. But leave the stream on in the background. Just don't listen
we
to
want
it.
That view.
Marcus, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here because this movie was a fucking thrill ride. We did the last one. We did this one. I was so excited for it. I'm so glad we both agreed that we would forego challenging each other to do Halloween Kills. But don't worry, next week we're getting back, guys, to challenging each other every week like we do to watch our favorite things. And next week, Marcus is challenging me to watch the Dune movie. Because he's obsessed.
I am obsessed. I am ready. I am excited. I am horny for that Dune hole. I want to put my worm in that Dune hole, baby.
Oh my God.
Let's fucking go.
Is it gonna be a lot of that wig line? What are you talking about? That wig line? That's just how you comb the hair. That's just
middle part, right? That's the whole thing.
Is it supposed to be back? Is that more natural, or is it? Do I have a low forehead? I have a small forehead. I have a small forehead. Don't make fun of me. My wig line is perfect.
You weren't meant to wear wigs. I'm sorry. We are
I'll
here. We are
look more natural.
starting. What a beautiful start. What a beautiful start to this episode. How are you doing, Nick?
They're messing with me with my wig line. Now I'm really.
You put a bit of spirit gum on your forehead. That would have been helpful.
So it like moves with me? Guys, we are learning wigs on the spot. That is what we do at Now Try This. Marcus, you asked me a question. What was it? How am I?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm great.
Nice.
I'm here. I'm excited about Halloween Kills. I really honestly, Spooky Boys month is my favorite month of the year because I've already loved all the episodes. Who am I? I'm Laurie Strode. I'm Jamie Lee Curtis. I am the titular Mrs. Halloween.
And he is angry that his blonde hair. You look like a surfer dude who got bit by a shark and you ended up in the hospital.
Put the side by side. Hold on. Put the side by side because I look like Laurie Strode. Okay. I crush it on this.
I'll do it in the clip.
I got the gown.
You got the gown? Ah, yes, the famous Laurie Strode gown.
Well, that's what she's wearing in this movie.
In this movie, you're right.
Yeah. Spoilers. Yes, Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, Mr. and Mrs. Halloween. Everyone knows
that's what we're dressed as.
That is who they are.
I like that my costume works on two fronts because it was Michael Myers, and then when I take off the mask, I'm just the mechanic that he stole the costume from. and it's good all around.
Everyone's favorite character from the second, oh man, this is gonna be hard because it's not the first Halloween, but
Halloween
it's named
2018.
Halloween 2018. Okay, so guys, wow, we will get through the etymology
We'll get through
of
it.
what this is. But first,
we'll
Marcus,
explain all of Halloween.
tell me how you are, what's been going on, have you tried anything new?
I am doing fantastic. I am trying, you know what? Actively, I am trying new things. I saw Jagged Little Pill this week, the musical.
Oh, how
on
is that?
Broadway.
I know nothing of Alanis Morissette.
It was a lot heavier than I thought it was gonna be.
It's
but
really heavy, isn't it?
it was pretty good. I am surprised how much I enjoyed it, and there was a standing ovation in the middle of it. It was awesome.
Whoa,
Which I've
warranted?
never seen.
It was like
Warranted. Definitely
you were
warranted.
like, yes.
I was like, I need to get up on my feet if no one else does, but everyone else
Wow.
was starting to get up on the feet. I was like, great, let's
that's
fucking go.
crazy.
Yeah,
Just
great.
because just everything, the story, the caliber of talent, being back at a theater, that was your first time back at a play, right?
Yeah, 100%. Apparently, one of my other coworkers saw a show beforehand, and that same exact moment got a standing ovation also beforehand.
Oh, wow.
Like before
That's
the pandemic,
crazy.
before everyone was just hyped to be back in the theater. It's pretty exciting.
Give me just the sentence or two of what that show's about, because all I know is Alanis Morissette.
Typical family is who seems fine on the outside is going through a lot of shit on the inside. That's
I get
basically
that.
what it is.
Lots underneath the purpose. Well, how funny that your thing that you tried this week was going to a show, because the thing that I tried this week for new is I also went to a show.
Ooh.
I took my girlfriend to see John Legend in concert, my first real big old concert I've ever gone to. We saw John Legend.
Oh, wow.
He sings our song. We love him. It was the first album we ever sent each other. Well, she sent me. I didn't know anything about. I knew jack shit about John Legend. And then she indoctrinated me. It was so cool. It was so intimate. It was so nice. He put on a fucking fantastic show.
That's awesome.
There was some songs he was dancing around. Some were super intimate where he just sat down at the piano. There's a whole point in the middle where he just like talked to us about his life and about everything going on. He showcased
that's
a new
interesting.
song. It was really, really, yeah. There's this whole interlude at the beginning. We were just like twiddling on the piano saying like, this is how I started. This is where it's come from. These were my big shots. This is how I am today. And he would like interlude the songs that he like covered coming up for like the Black Eyed Peas and Alicia Keys like before he had like made it. It was really really
awesome.
Hey, that Jamster dude, it is nice to see you. Welcome to the chat.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Okay, but Nick, we came here for business. It's like 10 minutes into the episode. We've got business to discuss.
Go quick. We need to go quick because I feel like there's nothing to say about this movie, but I have a lot to say.
I am on the same exact wavelength. I am always excited when I go into an episode with you and I'm like, what did Nick think about this fucking movie?
I feel like I'm always the wild card.
I don't know what you thought about this movie.
Passionate about
I'm
whatever
hoping
I
we're on the
think.
same page, but there's a huge chance that we're not. And then we're gonna fight.
Easily, because the critics right now are like people are like split right now.
I haven't
People are
watched
like-
any reviews, so I don't know what people are saying. But
all I know is I've read the title of a review. It's like people are split on Halloween.
well, we'll see if we're split as we talk about Halloween. Nick, we normally ask each other why we gave Halloween, and I think we could
So
both
I'm gonna be
answer
messing
that.
with my hair this entire.
You're very
show.
beautiful.
There's so much. Why don't I go ahead and explain the fucking etymology of this goddamn movie?
Do it.
So in 1978, Halloween came out. The first Halloween, starring it was about a kid who murdered his sister, went to an insane asylum. Sorry, a mental institution, and then came back to his city block and killed everybody there on Halloween. Right? That's the first movie. Jamie Lee Curtis
Yes.
She was a babysitter.
She was a babysitter.
And she was the classic, typical, archetypal survivor girl. I wonder if she was like the first, the prototypical. That's the word.
She might.
Maybe not the first, but
she's
she's
not
like
the
one of the
first, but she
iconic
is one of
ones.
the earlier ones because this was in 1979. The first one came out or something like that, 78.
78,
And
79, yeah.
so it was one of the first movies like this, and then a bunch of slasher films were made afterwards, and some came beforehand, but I think this was probably the biggest one.
This, Michael and Freddy were the slasher films are here. This is the
They
late
came
70s, early 80s.
I think Freddy and Jason came because of this,
Oh, you think so?
based on the history of what I know from horror. is that like this kind of paved the way because the other two I think were 80.
84. Yeah, you're totally right.
I think one was 80
Oh,
and one was 84.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, I feel so awful because what was the guy who made Halloween? Carpenter?
John Carpenter.
Yes, he's an iconic creator. Almost created the genre. This is and after that movie came out, there were we just got confirmation in the chat that Halloween was the original. Thank you so much. Fear God of Death. So Halloween spewed tons of sequels. Made Halloween 2, Halloween 3, 4, 5, The Curse of Michael Myers or something like that. And then it got semi-rebooted and Jamie Lee Curtis came back for H2O and H2O Resurrection. Then fucking, what's his name? Rob Zombie? I hate that guy.
Yeah, Rob Zombie
he
rebooted it.
Tried to reboot them in 07 and made 2. They were awful.
Honestly,
they were fucking trash. You liked them?
I kind of liked them a little bit. They weren't
I don't like
great.
a single movie Rob Zombie has ever done.
I kind of enjoyed them. I think that they
Name
did
one good Rob Zombie film.
Halloween.
I hated that. I hated The Devil's Rejects. I hated House of a Thousand Corpses.
House of a Thousand Corpses. That was a movie.
That was a movie. It was
a movie. I don't remember hating it, but I didn't like it.
I saw Devil's Rejects in theaters, and it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in theaters. So anyway, and then they said, hey, it's 2018. Let's bring another Halloween back. But just to make it confusing, it's going to be a sequel to just that first 78 Halloween. We're going to name it Halloween, and we're going to ignore all the movies in between.
I love that concept. I think that is incredible to do. You build upon the lore that's already there and established. You don't need it's the same thing with Spider-Man. Like there's certain things you don't need to reintroduce all the time. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, just expand upon it. And that's exactly what they're doing. So I loved the 2018 movie. I was a huge fan of it. We talked about it on a podcast. We both loved it. I think it did a great job of expanding the mythos while also kind of getting rid of all the bad parts, like the cult stuff with Michael Myers and the fact that he's immortal, and they got rid of like him being Laurie's brother, which was like a big part of the sequels. And so I think
one of the reasons why that movie is so good is because it's so simple, right? It was so simply just a sequel to that first one, right? It was just, it's been years. Michael got out. He killed a lot of people.
The premise is simple. It's also very, it feels like when you play video game on the rails, like it's very like we are a singular story. We have a singular mission and we're trying to tell the narrative. It expanded on Laurie Strode as a character. We didn't get a lot of background information on her, even though we had a million movies to deal with. Right. And it gave her family. And it was also, we'll talk about this more later, but like a huge focus on trying to say something. And what it was trying to say was like how we interact with trauma. It was a lot of it was about dealing with trauma.
1,000%. And I love that. That was my favorite thing about the first one, because it asked the question that no one's ever asked, in my opinion, that I remember seeing in a movie is what happens to the people after the horror movie?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you go through this traumatizing event and you survive, and then maybe there are sequels where you have to keep surviving, but I've never seen a sequel where it's like, what do you do with that grief of the fact that you lived? How does your and the answer that this movie, that Halloween 2018 said, is like, you got massive PTSD is what happens.
Yeah,
which makes complete sense.
It was really interesting. On the rewatch, because I rewatched it before watching this one. I know you did the same thing. I felt a connection with the movie. Like, as someone who has a lot of trauma and a lot of bullshit that I've dealt with, I felt like the message was really powerful. The way that they said, like, untreated trauma, unresolved trauma can affect you in so many ways. It can cause you to become a hermit. It can narrate the rest of your life in a way that sucks if you let it. And that not only sucks, but also then impacts generations going forward. And then you have generational trauma, which is a very real thing. And so I think narratively speaking, as a horror film trying to tell that story, that was a really interesting way of doing that. I loved it.
Yeah,
agreed, it was fantastic.
Agreed. I loved that old film, old 3 years ago, whatever. And then
the ancient film.
Then we get, so we talked about where this movie came from, why we're doing this one now, how much we liked 2018. Now we get Halloween Kills, which this movie was delayed because of the pandemic. It should have already been out. And we start the film, and by the premise of the old film, by the trailers, I thought that, which I thought was so cool, was literally as the car is driving away from the old film, from the 2018 film, is literally where this new one picks up.
Yes.
And then they decided to not give me that great idea, and we had a really long flashback with the detective.
I'm gonna be honest about this movie from the get-go. The flashbacks were kind of like the best part of the movie for me.
God, they kind of were though, but they're dumb. Also,
there
was too much of it.
100%, they were dumb. It was too
dumb.
much.
It was too much, but it was the best part.
It was kind of like the best part of the movie.
Oh man, we're gonna agree, and
I'm gonna give the positives of the flashbacks. Like aesthetically, they looked as though they were filmed in the 70s.
I thought they were for a second.
Oh yeah, same. Daron was like,
until I recognized an actor.
Is this old footage? Because they did use old footage a couple of times in the movie, and it looked exactly like it, which is like incredible.
That grainy feel to it. I loved it.
They did such awesome cinematography.
The only reason I recognize is because the actor that does the young detective, I recognize him from things. He was in Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, and he's like a good indie actor. I noticed him, and I was like, oh, I love that guy. Wait, oh shit, no, this is. Oh, whoa. And I was like taken aback. And I was like, oh. And honestly, I didn't hate it at the beginning because
I didn't hate it at the beginning at all.
Giving me justification of why that detective was so irate and why he was so irresponsible. And I was like, oh, he let him get away the first time.
Yeah.
But then we kept going back again and again and again.
And it's fine.
4 times, I think.
But it takes away from the original movie a little bit if you're like really focusing on this generational trauma to then just talk about this other guy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if they had that plan when they were making the last one to kind of we could have done a flashback or 2 there and then had more flashbacks
were
here.
There and then more. It would have been perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah. Agreed. But that's not what they did.
It's not what they did. Instead, they're
so
like,
at the beginning
flashbacks.
of this movie, we have like 10-15 minutes of flashback, it seems like. Like, I don't have the count. I'd have to watch it again to like really break it down. But and the thing that really made me upset about the flashbacks, because they weren't bad. They were acted well. Like, they were filmed great, and they were like actually suspenseful and interesting and like gave good info. But each one was a fake out. Each one was like giving me the reason why he cared, and I was like, oh, I got it. And they would go back and do more, and I'm like, okay, now I got it. And then they go back and do it again, and I'm like, okay, now I got it. And then the 4th time, I'm like, dude, I already thought you were responsible. I did not need to see this last part.
Honestly, they should have either just, like we said earlier, split it between the 2 movies, or have all of the flashback in one shot. Just give me a half hour of flashback if that's what you want to do. I don't give a shit. Just put it all in one fucking thing.
You should compress it. All that flashback should have been together in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. God damn it.
But then that I think that is enigmatic of what is wrong with a lot of this film, and this film loses all its urgency. Like, it's after the flashbacks, we get honestly really the thing about some of this film is it's filmed very good. I really like the composite. The kills are interesting. Michael is so foreboding.
He is scary.
Even when I hated the film,
the kills are good in this movie too. You know, I could see someone watching this movie and enjoying it if they're just like a raw horror fan who just wants to come in for the kills. You know,
that's what people are saying too. But so after the flashbacks, the first real like shot of the film, I feel like is the fireman, right? So Michael is in the building's burning, and then the Laurie and her family are driving away, and then what goes past them? A fire truck, and Laurie yells, "No, let it burn!" But here's my question: that's what they do? That's the end of it. She yells and is like, "Well, okay." And then,
I would be in the same situation too. Be like, you know what?
You want to turn around and stop them?
But they're gonna think you're crazy. Also, she was like injured, so she had to go to the hospital.
But she's
That's
okay.
a
Here's the thing. I don't disagree with you, but it's just like incongruent. It doesn't line up with the rest of what she does. Because like later, she's like killing herself to get to Michael, even though she can't fucking move. When it was like, oh, turn the car around, we need to stop them, or like tell them anything. And then later in the hospital, she's hello 911, please do not put out this fire. Dash 942, that exactly what she should have done.
Well,
but also,
I think I would have liked to, even if the end result was the same, I would have liked to your point, I would have liked to see that conversation. I would have liked to see that struggle of her being like, we have to go back, and they like restrain her, and then she passes out from the pain, and that's how she ends up in the hospital.
That totally would have worked.
Something like that.
But then also, she's like, she says that about the fire truck moving, but Marcus, when we're in the hospital later, she's like, well, we finally got him. He's burning alive. And it was like, why were you just a second ago made the assumption by seeing the fire truck that he was going to get out, but now you're like, we got him.
We got him.
Like,
we
no,
did it.
That doesn't light up.
Yeah. Personality wise, I think that this movie has a really interesting message, right? Like earlier, I was talking about how good the other one handled the whole situation of trauma, you know? And this one, I think, attempts to tackle the conversation of what happens to a town where this kind of incident happens, right? So like the sort of shared trauma that we all get from major events like that, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street kind of has never explored what happens to the town afterwards. You know, everyone just kind of ignores it because that's what it takes to get rid of him. And the surrounding neighborhood of Crystal Lake, I'm sure they're upset about all the murders that happened there, you know, but we never see any of that. So that conceptually is really awesome. And I think that in execution, it just was poorly handled and fell apart.
I mean, it sounds like you're speaking from like a wide range, a wide breadth of knowledge of horror movies.
Oh, no.
Well, Marcus, I hope that comes in handy for our game. Roll the clip.
Hold on.
Now try this trivia. Now try this trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia this.
Hey, there we go. Okay, hold on. Oh, okay, cool. Great.
Marcus, I went back through the files of what we did last time we did Halloween, and we played a game. You might remember this game because I called it a very not good name. The name of this game is Rom-Com or Horror.
That was the game from last time?
It sure was. I have 10 taglines for movies that I created, that I wrote, and you have to tell me whether or not it is a horror film or whether it is a romantic comedy, and then name the film for an extra point.
Okay.
Now, Marcus, just to remind you about how you did last time, why don't you go ahead and roll the clip of our last episode for the people out there and for yourself.
I am playing the clip now. I don't know.
Okay.
After stalking him for over a year, can Annie convince Sam that her love is more than real? I should have rephrased that. More than real.
More than real?
Or will their love die at the top of the Empire State Building?
Top of the Empire State Building.
It's a very famous movie that ends in the top of the Empire State Building.
I don't know.
It's very famous. It's one of the top. When you think rom-com, this is always in the top 10. Always.
It's probably not Sleepless in Seattle.
Why do you think it's not that one?
Because of the Empire State Building. And that's not in Seattle.
So what's your guess?
Sex in the City.
Sleepless in Seattle.
No way! No! Stop! You're fucking kidding me! Nick! No! Stop! Nick, shut the fuck up! Stop!
The premise
are you serious?
The premise of Sleepless in Seattle. Let me give you the premise, okay?
Nick, are you fucking serious?
The premise of this movie is he's on a talk show in Seattle. He lives in Seattle. And she hears it in New York. And they fall in love.
Movie.
And it ends with him and his son gets a ticket. He has to go to New York to follow him.
Oh my god!
Because he wants them to be together, and it ends at the top of the Empire State Building.
Oh my god!
You know the
wow. The clip is over now, and I remember that. I have a vivid memory of that happening, and it is one of my most embarrassing moments of the podcast.
Well, just to make you feel better, you did end up winning that game.
Nice.
So we'll see how you do this time. Marcus, I will say a tagline that I wrote from a real film.
Okay.
You'll have to tell me whether it's a horror film or a romantic comedy. Let's see if all that training I've done here on the show to make you watch all these rom-coms is finally paying off.
Okay.
Number 1, love is based on trust, communication, and deceit. At least it is according to Henry, who recreates Lucy's reality each day. Is it love if one person is lying about who they are?
Wow, that was well written, but that was 50 First Dates.
No! Is he gonna crush this game? Is he too good at this now? That was 50 First Dates. You remember their names?
Yeah. I watched
Wow.
it again not that long ago. It's a very, very good movie.
All right. Well, okay. 50 First Dates was the first one. Let's see if you can get the second
Is
one.
that 2 points? Did I get the point
That's 2
and
points.
the bonus
You got
point?
2 points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's fucking go.
Now, I didn't try to make these too hard. I didn't because I didn't
I
have time
appreciate
to.
that.
But also, you know,
I
we have other
respect
things
it.
we got to do during this podcast as well. All
yeah,
right,
we have
next
to
one.
talk about the movie.
Yeah, I guess so. Evelyn and Lee haven't spoken to each other in years. What will kill them first? The silence or the pressure of a newborn baby?
Evelyn, what was the beginning?
Evelyn and Lee haven't spoken to each other in years.
Okay. Evelyn and Lee haven't spoken to each other in years. What will kill them first? The fact that I feel like you said kill means I feel like is that it's a rom-com and not a horror movie, but I don't know what rom-com it is. Three men
Rom-com
and a
or horror,
baby?
Marcus?
No.
You have to guess
Three
rom-com
men-
or horror first.
I'm going to guess rom-com.
It's a horror movie.
Ah, damn. Okay.
Got to be a little tricky.
Has to do with
What
a
horror movie
baby.
is this?
Is it obscure or is it like a known horror
You know
movie?
this film.
I know this film. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not Rosemary's Baby.
No, neither of them are named Rosemary.
It's not The Orphanage because they adopt.
Nope.
It's
Listen to the beginning of it. Evan and Lee haven't spoken to each other in years.
haven't spoken to each other. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, that's pretty. That's funny. Nope.
Up? I give up. I give up.
It's
What
A
do you got?
Quiet Place.
Oh, good. That was good. That was
Nice,
good.
nice.
That was
Okay,
good.
next up, Marcus. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes a Bonnie and Clyde-esque tour across America. We know love is there, but not without pain, some stitches, and a little magic.
Pain, stitches, and a little magic.
Is this a rom-com or a horror film?
A road trip?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any horror movie road trips.
I said a tour across America.
A tour across America. Tour across America. I'm gonna guess. I don't know what these are good. I'm gonna do badly. I'm gonna guess rom-com.
It's a horror film.
Oh man, what is it? Oh wait, don't tell me. I can guess it. They tour across America.
Bonnie and Clyde-esque.
Two
But not
people-
without pain, some stitches, and a little magic.
It's not Leatherface. There's what tour? They're not going across America. They're in the one place. You know what? Whatever. Let's go with Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I don't know what else could be.
Bride of Chucky.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Some stitches. She stitch and let magic.
Oh my God, I hate this
that
so
one's
much.
tough. That one was tough. All right, next up. Letters, letters, letters. When Laura tries to lie her way to the top, inevitably someone gets hurt along the way. Can she pick up the pieces before everyone around her catches on? Is that a
Can
horror?
she pick up the pieces
or-
before everyone around her catches on?
Mhm.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna stick with rom-com. Let's go with rom-com.
That is a rom-com. This is a rom-com.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, Runaway Bride.
Nope. Letters, letters, letters.
Oh, Lake House.
When Laura tries to
You've Got Mail.
lie her way to the top. Nope. Inevitably, someone gets
Sleepless
hurt
in
along the way. No. No, it's a newer one that's on Netflix within the last couple of years.
I don't know. To all the
To
boys I
all
loved.
yeah, there you go.
I
nice.
count that. I
nice,
said
nice,
it
nice.
right slightly before you.
You did. All right, next up. Tim Lake is love obsessed, doing everything he can to get every moment just right. Lucky for him, all the women he chases are at a gross disadvantage. He lords over them with his mastery of time and space.
Is this about time?
It is time! Yeah!
Yay,
What a
I know
fucked up
this one.
movie. Sounds
What a
like a
good
horror
movie.
film.
Love it. It is spooky.
Yeah, it is spooky. Okay, next up. All Tina can think about is the man of her dreams. But what happens when so many other people have their own version of this dream man? Whose version will survive?
The man of her dreams. What happens when other people have their version of this dream man? I'm trying to think of like a
Their own
movie-
versions of this dream man.
Own version. Is it like a robot? Like a sex robot? Everyone just has this one sex robot and she's
So you
jealous.
gotta guess horror or rom-com first. before I
Okay,
even say
I'm
anything.
gonna say horror.
It is horror.
Nice. I have no idea what movie that could be.
Yes, you do. All Tina can think about is the man of her dreams, Marcus.
Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
The man of her dreams.
You're ridiculous.
All right, next up. Blood is thicker than water. At least Nick's family thinks so as they torment the love of his life. Can she survive this fishy, bloody affair?
Rom-com.
It is a rom-com.
Fishy? Is it the one with Cher where she's a mermaid? Moonstruck?
No.
No? No, that's not
no.
Moonstruck. Fishy, lovey affair? Mamma Mia?
No, that's a good guess, though. Blood is thicker than water. At least Nick's family thinks so. Movie is about family.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Big old family. No, it's Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They put a bloody fish in her bed, remember?
You're right.
When
You're
she was
right.
at the
That
bachelorette
was-
party?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was good. As soon as you said Crazy
Next
Rich Asians, I was like, I know what scene you're talking about.
Yeah. All right. To catfish or not to catfish? Really, it wouldn't be that bad if she didn't lose her livelihood along the way. I guess Joe will have to keep up the charade or lose his pen pal.
This is a rom-com, and it's Sleepless in Seattle.
It's not. It is a rom-com. It is
You've
not
Got
Sleepless
Mail?
in Seattle. It is You've Got Mail.
Yeah!
Basically a horror film.
Nice. Pretty much.
Honestly, I love that movie. It's a very good movie. Okay. Next up, work-obsessed man can only focus on one thing, even on vacation. Will his wife lash out from the lack of attention, or will they be able to defrost their icy relationship?
I'm going to say this is horror.
It is horror. Work-obsessed man can only focus on one thing, even on vacation.
Okay, it's not American. I was going to say American Psycho, but it's not. Work-obsessed man. So he's killing people. He can only think of one thing on vacation.
No, he's literally obsessed for. You're making it harder. He's literally obsessed about work. I just omitted his name because I thought it would be too easy. You want me to do it again with the name?
Yeah, do it with the name.
Work-obsessed Jack can only focus on one thing.
The Shining. The
Yeah,
Shining. That's good.
Nice.
That was good.
Thank you. All right, last one. When Joanna brings John home for the first time, there is bound to be some tension. But when more and more people show up, it's obvious that love does not conquer all.
This is horror, and it's Mother?
Nope.
Ah, damn it. A rom-com?
It is rom-com.
Okay. I've never seen Mother, but it kind of sounded like Mother.
I thought it would get you because it sounds like Get Out.
Oh, okay. But it was like the more and more people showing up thing. It was like, oh, maybe that's Mother. That's all I know about Mothers, that more and more people show up.
Oh, sure, that's true.
Okay, so it's a rom-com. More and more people show up?
When Joanna brings John home for the first time, there's bound to be some tension. Home for the first time. Someone bringing someone home for the first time.
It's
I'll give
so
you a
many
hint. It's an old
rom-coms.
movie.
An old one?
It's the original one that does this.
Oh, guess who's coming to dinner?
Yeah, nice. I thought it would get you because it sounds like Get Out.
That
It
was
is
good.
Get Out.
It is Get Out. It is 100%.
Marcus,
Get
you
Out.
got 13 points. You won the game.
Yay! What a good job. That was fun.
I will just say that Michael mask staring at me is creepy as fuck.
I love it. It's great. It makes me feel powerful. Like I haven't gotten to dress up for Halloween for a long time, or I've been very self-conscious about it because I've been overweight for a long time, and
Yeah, I feel
now
you.
I'm in much better shape. And still took me a long time to dress up for Halloween.
Wear a jumpsuit, a mechanic jumpsuit.
And finally, now I feel confident enough to wear a mechanic's jumpsuit.
Oh, does Daron want my my wig and gown?
Yeah, let's
You guys
go.
can be- Strode
No,
and Michael?
she has a witch costume that she refuses to change out of. Like she will not wear any other Halloween costume.
Oh, is she one of those?
Yep,
She got
she
the
is one
same
of those.
costume every year.
She's
I
a
love
witch
that.
every year,
I love that.
which is it works.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, Marcus, getting back to the film, we are at the scene at the beginning when Michael takes down all of the firemen. Which, honestly, I feel like I should have not liked some of this scene. Like I was like,
It was
oh, really? He
cool.
was hiding behind the gay. Oh, really? But it was
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Honestly, the
it was
opening
really
scene
great.
is great. Like I was hyped
Yeah.
for the movie. If it would have
Yeah.
started with this immediately, I think that would have been better, and then get to the flashback. But starting
Same.
with the flashback kind of pulled me out of the movie. This pulled me back in. And I was like, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
let's go. Michael's killing people. They're good kills.
Yeah.
It's awesome. He's like
It's
surviving.
really cool.
It's sort of like teetering on whether or not he's a supernatural killer or not.
Yeah.
But it was still within the realms that they set up in the 2018 movie where it's like, no, he's not a supernatural killer. He's just a guy killing people.
Yeah, because he hides behind the grate in the fire, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like he was like, that's just a smart move. That
It's
wasn't
just a smart move.
like,
Exactly.
he wasn't
And
burning alive. He was
It's
hot, but-
interesting because in earlier interviews for the 2018 movie, they talked about how they really wanted to make sure Michael was a real
dude.
person. Like he was
Yeah.
scary because this could happen. That kind
Yeah.
of scary. Whereas
I
before he
thi-
kind of like devolved into just being like, you see him getting his head chopped off and you like, he gets stabbed and he became kind of like a Jason-esque character where he's just pretty
Totally,
much
totally.
immortal.
And I think this film does that successfully for about 3/4 of the film.
Yes. And then they give up at the end of it. And we'll talk about
And
it
then
when
they
we
just
get
give
there.
up.
But like
Because of her
that's-
stupid monologue she gives.
that made me so mad, man. Like genuinely, I was
Evil-
angry
evil
about
makes
it.
you stronger.
It was a poorly, I guess we'll talk about it now. It was a poorly delivered monologue.
We can go
And,
around.
and
Yeah.
the fact that it was like juxtaposed
generic.
against like him being shot and coming back to life and being beat up and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It was just like
One
it felt
shot's
so
okay. You can
generic.
get away with one shot. You
Yeah.
can get away with one shot.
This
but that's
isn't-
it.
This isn't new. This isn't revolutionary. This, as a matter of fact, is kind of what has killed a lot of horror franchises. When the
Yeah.
killer becomes this immortal thing that you don't know what to do with is the point in which a lot of the horror franchises kind of die off.
Yeah, because the tension comes from the fact that you think they have a chance.
Exactly. And if you don't think they have a chance
Yeah.
at all, then you're just watching people get murdered and you kind of like, invalidate the purpose of the final girl, which is
Yeah.
like she is there to take down this monster and survive. And it's usually interesting,
Totally.
especially with this series. We have 3 potential final girls, generations worth, or several
Which is
3
so cool.
generations worth. And it's awesome, and I'm kind of excited to see them go toe to toe with Michael Myers at the end
Yeah.
in the next movie. But this just
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't care about the next movie after this.
I care about the next movie, but I completely understand your like tampered expectations because this movie was just not what was promised to us, like in
It's
the
not.
trailers or just by what it was set up. I mean, like Jamie Lee Curtis is like the linchpin of these films, right? The fact is like she's back and now she's an old lady and now she's like going through and she's a wonderful actress. So it's
Yeah,
like she's
incredible.
like way better than even back then. So it's like she can pull the weight of this whole film. She's in the hospital the whole time.
Yeah.
She's in the hospital the whole and logistically I get it.
Yeah.
Like I get it.
She's
But
an
they
old
could've
lady who
just
got
said
injured. I understand she's in the hospital.
They could have just made it seem like she was not as injured, or just like when she fucking hit herself with adrenaline, and I was like, "That's enough for me to buy. Great, go
100%.
fucking fight Michael." I
Yeah,
was like, "That's
go
enough for
fight
me.
Michael.
I'm cool with that."
I
But then
would've
she
been
walks down the
fine.
stairs and she's like, "No, that was too much." It goes back.
Yeah, I would have been fine
upstairs.
with her dying in this movie fighting Michael, and then the next
Oh,
movie
yeah.
we get it's more focused on the daughter and the mom.
Yeah, that would
Right?
have been really
I think that would have been
Yeah.
narratively more interesting. Like, yes, you lose Jamie Lee Curtis, who is kind of a big draw for these films, but I think the franchise would survive.
Yeah, well, you get flashbacks.
We could 100% just have flashbacks,
Yeah. Because I think the youngest daughter, the granddaughter, I think she does a good job. I don't think they do her any services by making her do what she does in this film.
Yeah.
But I really like the daughter, Greer.
Judy Greer.
Judy Greer. She's fantastic, and I feel like she's one of those persons that almost always lifts up films and makes them better, but never has the chance to like be the main star.
Yeah.
So if the next one was her like fucking being a badass because she was trained by her mom and she wants
Exactly.
revenge and like she's been preparing since last Halloween and did this whole. I think that
Yeah.
totally would have worked, but that's not what we got.
That's not what we got, at all.
Bedridden Laurie. We
And
got
I'm
bedridden
sure-
Laurie the whole time.
I'm sure next movie we're gonna get like an awesome fight scene with Laurie and Michael, and she's gonna die because of it. That's
Totally, but-
fine, but we could have gotten it this movie
I agree.
also. And the fact that we spend so much time in the hospital is just God. It is
There's a
claustrophobic.
lot of hospital.
It's
It is.
tense. It's
Not in a cool way.
not a cool way or creative way. It's just like you're stuck in the hospital and you don't want to be in the fucking hospital. You want to be where Michael is.
It makes me anxious. It's not filled with like fun, scary movie tension. It just makes me anxious. Like it's like.
Yeah.
But I will say before we get into that, I do want to talk because you were talking about Michael's kills and stuff.
Yeah.
Like let's talk about some of them because some of them are really cool. Like when Michael is just walking through the town, it's really cool shit.
It is
like
really
when
cool
he
shit.
like the first one when he's with the older couple messing with the drone. There is an argument to be had. It's a little superfluous for the film, but it was fun.
It was
It was
fun-
exciting. They
was fun.
seemed scared.
They did a good job of of giving them characters some humanity
Oh yeah.
before they get killed. So you feel bad for them, and you immediately within 5 minutes are like, oh no, I don't want them to die.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yeah.
like that a lot. I think that horror movies need that. I've watched so many horror movies where I'm watching it for an hour and a half and I don't give a shit about any of the characters. And this movie does a good job of making you care about some of the characters in about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and that's
and
good writing.
I think the reason that's so good is because like him reaching through the window is just so iconic and great. Him testing out the knives on the dead guy as the wife is just like gagging on her own blood.
Yeah,
like fantastic.
I thought that was hilarious. I mean, it was also kind of funny.
It was also which a good horror movie is.
Which a good horror movie is. It lets you
ratchet
kind of
up, let it
sit
go.
in the
Ratchet
tension.
it up, let
yeah,
it go.
exactly. It messes with tension. A good horror movie is just revving it up and then giving you a release. Revving it up, giving you a release. And I think this movie did that at the beginning.
Yeah, well, and then I think it did a little in the middle with Big John, Little John, MVP.
Oh, yeah, Big John and Little John. So you recognize Michael McDonald, I think his name is, or Michael whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, from MTV. God, I loved
Mad
him.
TV.
Mad TV. I loved him.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great.
They were great.
I'm so
They were
happy he
fun.
was on this. They were a good couple.
It would have been so
funny.
easy to be like really distracted by the fact that we keep running into those characters about getting ding dong ditched and like playing their record and being a couple that just wanted like to enjoy the night. And like that could have felt so superfluous. But because the actors did such a good job and they're so charismatic, like I legitimately liked those scenes and I enjoyed watching them during those scenes. And I really felt the whole Michael coming and doing everything like it was so funny when he came to the back door. Then he just walked around, went to the front door,
knocked on
just
it,
walked around, went back through the back door. And I was just like, come on.
That was awesome.
And it wasn't done. Yeah. And it wasn't done because it was his whole house. It made sense.
Yeah,
it seemed like people who would buy a cheap house.
Exactly. And he also knew what to do. And narratively speaking, when he goes back to his old home and he's returning to his childhood home, because that's the only home he knew and he just wanted to be back home, that makes sense. You know?
Yeah.
Them describing him as like a 6-year-old with the strength of a man, that's fine. I buy that.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But then don't later add on the layer of, oh, he's made of fear. He's pure evil. Blah, 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 blah. He is the most monstrous man alive. He's rejuvenated by his hatred. And it's like, shut the fuck up. He's getting stabbed. He's getting shot. He's getting beaten to death. And then he's just like, blah, 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 blah. I'm fine. No.
It's totally fine to have a character saying that shit too, right? Like, it's a classic horror movie thing for people to say that, but not Laurie.
Yes.
Laurie's supposed to be the grounded, like sensible, like awesome one. And then by having Laurie say it, it gives it this like special weight that makes it like almost true. But it's supposed to be like not true. The whole thing is like, is he? Isn't he?
Yes.
What's going on? Is he touched by the devil? Did he make a pact? Is he just a guy is he literally the adrenaline of getting shot? He's just gonna get fucked up and at the end of the movie he's gonna go and fix his shot and then come back the next one? Like, what's going on?
Happen?
That is the magic.
I also don't like that they spent so much time in the last movie sort of like undoing the mythos of Michael and saying that like saying that Loomis put too much fear and emphasis into it, like saying he was a being of pure evil and drumming it up like that he's just a person, you know? Because I hate that I keep saying this, but if you keep going thematically from the point of view that this is about trauma, right? The entity in your head being bigger than it actually is in real life is a realistic thing because you keep replaying events in your head. And so you're giving the thing more power, right? So then having the characters overcome that and realizing that it's just a man in a mask and that you can kill him is huge and important. Yeah. So then taking that away from them and making him actually immortal ruins that potential for character growth, for them being able to get over their trauma and deal with it. And that sucks.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. That's so nicely said. And it goes back into what we were saying about Malignant, right? About how horror movies are such a great vehicle to deal with these things because everything's so exaggerated, emotion exaggerated. It can be almost melodramatic and it's okay because people are dying. Like literally. Exactly. But like that is exactly what the feelings I had after the first one. And then all that was wasted here by the end of the second.
God, yeah, you're 100% right. It's just like all of all that good stuff that they invested in, all those good feelings I had after watching the first one, now are just gone. I've lost faith in this franchise.
And I'm not there yet. I think they might be able to turn around. But actually, no, I'm not, because the third movie was supposed to be that's the same Halloween night, but the director said, I think he said he's changing his mind, and it's gonna be a couple years later, and COVID happened, and he's like, I want to deal with that, and I'm like, oh no.
So, you know what he's gonna do for COVID happening? Michael Myers is gonna be sitting in his fucking house. That's what he's gonna do, and he's not killing anybody. He's like, yes, 2 years have passed, and Michael just lives in his house, and everyone decided to leave him alone.
I mean, I there's a way to do it, like, right? Like Halloween's extra crazy that year because everyone's been pent up and inside, even though I guess that makes sense, because like after this Halloween massacre, people should not want to leave their houses, but after a couple years cooped up, he can make it work. I just don't have faith that it's gonna work.
So here's what it is. Michael Myers is in his house, right? He's like we just said, he established he's cooped up in his home, and then finally COVID ends, right? He's had this peace for like almost 2 years of no one bothering him or anything like that, right? And you know how like the myths come to pass and to come to fruition of people being like, don't go to that house, there's a creepy guy in there. That happens, and COVID is over, so people want to go trick-or-treating. They go and knock on his door asking for candy, and that's what brings him back.
Oh my God, candy? Candy? I have no candy. Murder! Well, Marcus, before we get into the other half of this film, the whole other half of this film, which is the other people, will have a lot to say.
Yes.
Why don't we show how we would ratchet up the tension during a horror film? Guys, we have a special treat. We did the same thing last time for Spooky Boys Month. We have created some of our own creepypasta.
Creepypastas. Spooky spaghettis.
That is the song. Hey guys, editing Nick here. We put the creepypastas at the end of the episode so you can keep listening to that awesome Halloween Kills content. Just stay tuned after the end, after our theme song, and you can hear our awesome creepypastas. So, Marcus, I needed that little segue because now we have to get to the other half of the film, because half the film is not Michael or the Strodes. It's fucking, oh God, what was the name of the fucking
Billy
baby
Bob boy banger?
Oh,
it was like Tommy. It was Tommy, or because there's Tommy and Lonnie. So I think it was Tommy was the focus.
I will say I really liked the very beginning of their introduction. Like there's this whole menagerie of survivors, like that concept, right? Because like what you're getting at of you're saying earlier of like what this film could have been was like, what is the shared trauma for a group of people, for a community? And that is interesting. That is not explored a lot.
We've, as a society, have experienced plenty of shared traumas. I mean, COVID is kind of a shared trauma that we all have.
Totally.
I mean, some people completely ignored it, and so they don't have any trauma related to it. But, you know, those of us who did obey the rules, I'm sure kind of like are eager to get outside and have a little bit of nervousness around coughing and stuff. Totally. There's 9/11's another big one.
Oh, 9/11's a good
all
example,
the fucking shootings that we have. Like we have as
all
a
those
country,
communities where it happened.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, we have shared traumas, and that would be an interesting thing to explore in a horror movie.
Yeah.
But this didn't do
I feel like I have seen like a news article or like a news channel go to one of these shooting places like a year later and talk to the people and see they're messed up. They're like going through it, right?
For sure.
So it would have been a really interesting thing. I don't understand, such an interesting concept, just such an interesting way to go. Why would they choose Tommy Doyle? That's his name. Why would they choose everyone in this film besides the Strodes, every single person in this film to just be dumb?
Yep.
Nobody makes a good decision at any point.
Everyone
except maybe like Little John, when he's like, he knows he's gonna like die right there, and he's just like, all right, Michael, let's go.
Everyone
and he's like, that's the only person I was like, you're good.
In this movie. Thank you for the $5 donation, Fear God of Death. He said $5 for Lisa, so we'll be sure to get that to her right away.
$5 for Lisa. Shout out in the chat.
But you're right about that. I think
Why?
he was the creator of this movie. The writers were thinking, we're going to have this shared trauma story, but what we're going to do with it is have it devolve into a mob mentality. And it devolved too early in the film into that. Like a huge chunk of the film was this mob running around
ramble
looking for Michael Myers, and he's not in the hospital, and that's where they all are, and they end up killing this other patient who escaped.
Let's talk about that because you brought it up. And
it goes on for too long. That was my final point about the mob.
Oh, sorry. That was the only thing for me that was like, Berdeguez, I was so upset. I was like movies don't usually upset me this much, but like honestly, I feel like too like fucking woke or some shit, because like I just like when I and I'm usually not like this, but when I saw this moment of this sick person, this person's just like ill, this person that we don't know why they're there. They could just there's so many things he could have, right? There's so many problems he could have, and they like have these people literally like kill him. Like I was so upset by it.
So here's the thing about that, right? So you have these people becoming a mob, they end up killing the wrong person, and I get that. If there was remorse afterwards, if any of them felt anything afterwards, I'd be like, oh wow, they really learned that they fucked up, and this movie is being poignant and trying to say something. But they didn't. So instead, they immediately, almost in the next scene that you see them, they're fighting Michael Myers. And you know what, Nick? You know, I was rooting for Michael Myers. The whole second half of the movie, I was rooting for Michael Myers. I was like,
because they killed an innocent man.
I was like, kill this whole fucking town. I don't give a shit. Murder them all. And I don't, I don't want to be feeling that way. I don't want to have so much empathy for the murderer.
Well, they could have had all that happen without him dying. They could have had Judy Greer get there in time, and the impact would have, like, we didn't need to have him kill himself. I was just so heartbroken because I was like, especially that whole exchange they did between daughter Strode and the patient, because she was like, I got you, and you like the actor did too good of a job. He seemed like someone that was sick, and I was just like, I was picturing all these people that like we don't help, that we shuttle them away somewhere and just leave them there because we don't know what to do. That guy could have just had like, I don't know, he could have just had like a small thing that he didn't have the love or care, and he was just there his whole entire life, and now he's I don't know. He also could have been a serial killer. He also could have been a serial killer.
We don't know because we weren't told anything. We were like, oh, these are like, it's not. He wasn't put away in Arkham Asylum where we know everyone's kind of a bad guy. He was just put away in a regular mental institution.
Well, it was definitely one level up. It was definitely like a jail mental.
Yes, but
he probably did kill somebody
explicitly.
No, not at all. It really upset me. But like what you were saying is like that non-remorse thing. I don't understand like why make that choice of this whole mob coming up and then just kind of like walk away. And then I was like, what is this film? And that's not even talking about how. The mob mentality thing, I think, is a problem with the film, but even more so is I think how dumb they are. The fucking two older ladies with the two kids fucking driving around town looking for Michael. What the fuck are you gonna do when you find him?
I feel
fucking
like
Tommy Doyle going around like, did you find him? Did you find him?
A lot of those moments felt weirdly cringy. Like it was just like there's a whole shot of the Tommy just being like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get Michael. And you're like,
it's not Michael.
Who the fuck are you, dude?
Who's this for?
You look stupid. You look fucking stupid. And then really they go after Michael thinking they're like a badass mob of people, and then he murders the shit out of all of them. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't even mean that ending point. I mean all these like little ones, like fucking the guy, granddaughter Strode and her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, whatever, fucking going around like that whole, like I thought the daughter was such a good character in the first one. Like I really thought she was doing a great job of like taking on the survivor girl thing. And I really thought the baton would be passed.
Yeah.
But all she did in this film was be a dumbass.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was just the fact that all the characters got stuck in that hospital just was so bad. It was such bad writing. Like, have them separate. I mean, no, the daughter was around, right? Was she running around town?
Yeah, with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend's dead
in the hospital. I didn't even realize that
because they were just going around town with guns, hoping to find him.
Yeah, we don't really get back to her until the end when she's
and then
like,
they do, and then
finally
they die.
Confronts Michael. Then they die. And then the mom comes and she was part of the hospital group, and then the hospital group comes to fight Michael almost immediately after. And it's like, I don't know.
So
it was very poorly written, and I don't know what happened between the last movie and this one.
I don't know. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I don't mean, listen, who am I? I'm nobody. I cannot tell anybody that their trauma is not real trauma, right? But Lonnie, the boyfriend's dad, who is one of the survivors who had an experience against Michael that survived, homeboy tripped and he walked past him, and his whole life was ruined, and he had this murderous vendetta. He even said, well, what all the other people said is like, I'm gonna kill Michael. I'm like, why? He didn't do anything.
He tripped.
You tripped.
I mean, hey, his friends, people he knew got murdered. Maybe that's all the reason that he did it. I don't know. You're right. It was,
but we didn't say it.
It was very thin for that guy to be a part of the whole
We
group.
flashed back that whole scene. We flashed back to his whole fucking origin story, which was just like people were picking at him because he was a loser. I'm not putting shade. I was also a loser. I was picked on. That's fine. We all get picked on. No problem. But he was being picked on because he was a loser. We saw that whole scene. And then later we went back to him again and he tripped. And Michael walked past him, which honestly, really funny moment. It is really funny when Michael doesn't give a shit about you.
I think probably part of his trauma is more survivor guilt than it is about trauma. You know
Listen,
what I mean?
again, I can't talk to anyone's trauma, and that's totally a real trauma that really people really have. I'm just saying, in the framework of the movie, I'm watching these people who homeboy detective shot his partner, fucking Laurie Strode, like fucking attacked him with a fucking hanger and it didn't work. Fucking Tommy Doyle, like his babysitter almost got like fucking massacred. Like, this is real shit. And this guy tripped and fell.
I mean, you're right. I think some of the reasoning for some of the actors being there is kind of very loose. I want to give props to all the actors that returned. Like, a lot of them were actually originally cast in the films, and they are reprising their role as the older versions of those characters. So like they showed the nurse lady, I think she's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
A few of them were. And I know also
love that
the original Michael Myers is playing Michael Myers also.
Is he the original or
the original Michael Myers is playing Michael Myers with his mask off, and then they have a buff guy playing Michael Myers for like the actual physicality of Michael Myers.
Oh, I love that. That makes a lot of sense. I love when they do that stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, they did a good job bringing everybody back.
Nick Castle?
Yes, Nick Castle. Also, Michael Myers, I didn't know this until I looked stuff up for the movie, is known as The Shape.
Yeah, I love that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was the same actor. I love that. That's really cool. The Shape. That makes sense.
The Shape. It's not scary, but
he looks short. I'm sure he's tall.
Now he might
but
be
he's
short.
Like older now, so
he's got that old hunch.
he got a little bit of old man hunch.
The budget for this movie is $20 million, and it made $64 million already.
20 million? That's it?
Yeah,
that's real cheap.
They could have spent an extra couple million on the writing.
Oh shit! Shots fired. I think ultimately it's just so much of this movie is like, what do we care about, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what's so frustrating, right? Most horror movies, we don't give a shit about anything except the kills and the horror busters.
Yeah,
but 2018 really made us fucking care about the Strodes. Like, I really cared about this 3 generations of women fighting back against monsters.
100%. That's a great way of putting it. If we didn't give a shit about 2018 and that was just a whatever horror movie porn, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, dude just ripping through a town, fine. I would have liked it, and I would have been ready and on board for more of the same.
Yeah.
I love those kinds of movies. I love when Jason goes around murdering the shit out of people and there's no real plot. Fine.
Friday the 13th is some of my favorite. But more so than Halloween, and they got no plot.
But don't make me care about it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like you take it away.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the movie ultimately like has some cool kills and has some cool moments, but like it gets so lost in the fluff of trying to like, I saw someone online say this felt like a setup for the third movie. And I was like, that's fair. It does feel like a lot of setup. It doesn't like the things don't happen, especially all the time we languish in the hospital.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Like, it truly, truly feels like they didn't know what they were doing. Like, they had a concept and then they were forced to write a screenplay.
Well, I will say one of the people that are the writers on this film is Danny McBride.
But he was last time, and he's part of the reason it was good.
I think so. Or maybe, you know what? There are 2 other writers. Maybe maybe they got more involved.
I don't know. I don't know what made this movie fall apart, but the writing is definitely the worst part of the whole movie.
You know, it's probably not even like the writing like itself. It's just like the choices, like the story. It's the story, right? It's like
the plot
it's not-
outline.
there
the
are
plot
some bad
structure, I
lines.
guess,
Yeah, exactly. There are some bad like lines, but there are some fine lines. Like I wasn't like turning my cheek at the words everyone was saying, you know,
Yeah.
and sometimes I do. It was like just the choices they made. They were just
Mhm.
weird choices, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, how about we do this? And everyone said, yeah, that's a great idea. And no one said like, how about not?
Yeah, no,
How about
absolutely right. It felt like no one gave this a look over at all. Like they were just
Yeah.
blind faith. The first one did well. Here you go. Here's a sequel, and here's all this money. And they're like, okay, great, cool, thanks.
Well, let's fix it. So how would you start and how would you make this movie? Off the top of my head, I feel like I would keep that firefighter scene.
Keep the firefighter
and then
scene.
I feel like
start off with that.
If they got themselves in a hole because Laurie is hurt, just skip a year. Just skip a year. Michael got just fucking
he goes away.
and then you can set up your blocks and then you know what? I think they cut themselves in a corner because they made Laurie hurt and they made the mom and the daughter have to grieve the dad. And like it
Yes.
would be weird if they never mentioned it and they never grieved about it. That would be really weird.
Yeah.
I actually think I liked when Judy Greer walked into a room by herself and cried. Great acting,
Yes,
great moment,
that was
greatly
wonderful.
shot. That was cool. Like grief is really interesting, and having to deal with it in your film
Yeah.
makes you make stupid choices. You have to waste time on it. So I would think I feel like I would have skipped a year
That's
off
fair.
the top of my head.
I don't
What kind of
mind that.
things would you have done?
I feel like
Fix this
I
movie,
wanted-
Marcus.
Okay, I think we start off with the fire scene, them get murdered. I think we
Yeah.
show what we talked about earlier, where Laurie is like, "No, we have to stop him," and then she passes out from the pain. She wakes up in the
Oh, I love that.
hospital, and then
Yeah.
you're in the hospital with the, all three generations. I wouldn't separate the daughter
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yet, right? And then I feel like
Yeah.
you start them there. They're trying to keep her contained. She's panicking. She's worried about it, and they're like, "No, it's fine." She thinks Michael Myers is still alive. She's convinced Michael Myers is still alive. And then the daughter and the granddaughter are convincing her that he's dead and to stay. And then over the course, like you as the viewer know he's alive. And then he's kind of wreaking havoc in the town. And then word gets to the hospital that he's wreaking havoc in town. And then they I think what happens is Laurie escapes to go
With the
confront
granddaughter's
Michael.
help.
I think she just escapes on her
Oh,
own.
I feel
and
like
then
I want
they
the
have
granddaughter to
find
like
her.
take the.
Well, I
Yeah,
was gonna say, and
that's
then they
fair.
have to find Laurie, and so in them attempting to find Laurie, they could end up confronting Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And the three of them have to fight him.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's totally good enough for the whole fucking
Mhm.
movie.
He
I
ends
think
up
I would
killing Laurie
say
or someone, and then he
Yeah.
escapes, and that's
somebody has
you
to
end
die.
like that.
One of them has to die. I think the granddaughter helping her would have gave her a lot of urgency and like
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
and then she also has the grief of like helping and wanting to help. And she's like, because I don't think her wanting to go attack Michael is a bad thought. Like her fucking
Yeah.
dad's dead, you know.
I
But
also
like to
do
go
like
with like
the-
fucking Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I
is
do like
dumb.
this shared trauma stuff, and if you want to do
Yeah.
that, then like have people have those conversations about like what would they do, have them talking more. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to say that I know how to make a better movie than this, but
It's
I
tough.
do
It's
think
tough.
that like the conceptually is good. It just fell apart.
Yeah, the pieces were there. The
Yeah.
pieces were there. They had things to work with, but ultimately, it's just they focus on the wrong things, and they just having the town become this amorphous, like ramble rousey, like rah, 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 just like you know.
I also don't think that
they took
like,
all that time to make character. You know,
I also don't think that's what would have happened with the shared trauma. You know, like I feel like they would have not I feel like they would have rallied together more than become a mob and murder hungry, you know?
I'd like to think so, and I think that's the message that would have been more interesting. Like, I don't need a commentary about why we suck. I already know why we suck. I need a
Exactly.
commentary of why we need it, which is why I thought the trailer seemed so cool. The
Mhm.
trailer made it seem like the town was coming together to get Michael
Yeah.
in like a good way, and I was like, that's cool. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that before.
Or
you know?
fucking, you know what? Have a Spider-Man moment, right? Like towards the end of the movie, when they're confronting Michael, it seems like last second Michael's gonna get the granddaughter, and then someone in the town shoots their gun, and you reveal that they're all there to help fight Michael Myers, and then maybe they get him, right? But then they're like worried about the girl, or an explosion happens, something happens to distract them, and then they look
Totally.
where Michael is laying, and he's gone.
Totally.
And that way,
Totally.
at least you still have the mystique of like, okay, yeah, he took a beating, but he's going off to go heal and recover.
Yeah. Instead, what we got was he took a beating, kept going, was shot, kept going, shot again, kept going, killed everybody,
Yeah.
and then took one of our strongest actresses in this film for no reason except for the cliffhanger at the end.
Yeah.
Like, I was really sad to see Judy Greer go.
Yeah, I know. Someone had to die. One of them had to die.
100% someone had to die.
But
I agree.
It
But it
did
just seemed
suck
like
to have it be
so
her.
unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seems so unnecessary because, like, Laurie wasn't even there. There weren't any more stakes. Like, it wasn't like, you know, she was just standing there.
Yeah.
Fucking poor. But I guess, I mean, this might be interesting, though. It might go to a cool place because now both of those girls' parents are dead and she's going to be about to live with her grandma. And then years go by.
I guess so. Yeah. If they say years go by in the next one, then that will be interesting. If it continues immediately after this, then it would kind of suck.
Dash9442 said, I feel like it would be interesting to see him to live among the town without the mask. Just a creepy old man for a while.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if we do the creepy old man COVID thing where he's just living in the house with the mask off, that would be pretty
It would be
fun.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Marcus, I think that's the movie, unfortunately.
That was the movie. Halloween.
A little lackluster,
Kills.
a little square. Marcus, what did you think of the film?
Disappointed.
Yeah.
I am disappointed. I feel like normally I would say I didn't like it, blah, 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 blah. But there were things I liked about it. And the other one was so good. It is honestly a horror movie that I point to for a lot of people looking to get into horror movies. Halloween 2018 movie is a great new horror movie. We haven't had a lot of good slashers recently. The 2018 felt like it was, oh shit, this is gonna revitalize the genre of slasher films again.
Yeah.
And
No, I feel this the exact same way as you. I thought we were getting more and we got less, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, what are you gonna do? Would you recommend this film?
I don't think I would recommend this film. I recommend 2018 still, and I would say watch one of those explained videos like Halloween Kills Explained or something like that for this one. You don't have to watch the movie.
I agree. I agree with that 100%. If you love the first one, I would tell the person the second one's way worse, but you can totally watch it to see some cool kills and to see what happens after. But it does not live up to the hype of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus, are you going to watch the sequel?
Am I gonna watch the sequel? I am.
Probably because we do this podcast.
Yes. When we're still doing this podcast in a year, we'll
probably
watch
do it again for Spooky Boys month. Yeah. Same, but I would have watched it regardless because I think there's still a couple pieces there that again, someone said it in the chat. Michael is the best part of this movie, and he was good enough in this film to make me want to watch him more.
I agree. Michael was written well. The kills were good. He was creepy. He was acted really well, which you don't see. I think horror actors don't get a lot of credit.
Yeah,
like the people
being that foreboding without saying a
monster,
thing is hard.
I mean, if you watch all the Jason films, there are definitely standout Jason performances, even though he doesn't say anything. And I think the same thing it can be said with Michael Myers. I think he's very foreboding in this movie.
1000%, totally agree. Did you know now? As we were talking about this, about rebooting, revitalizing an old, because I didn't know the answer, the new Scream that's coming out is also doing the same thing. 25 years after a streak of brutal murder shocked the quiet time of Woodsboro, California, a new killer dons the ghost face mask.
Well, it doesn't have to be a sequel to just the first one if it's 25
years after.
Later, because all of them follow the same plot.
I didn't see Scream 4.
Scream 4 was very good.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
It still followed those people?
Yeah.
Oh.
It like revisited
You're right.
a lot
All
of
those people in it.
Yep. It was
interesting.
Good. Honestly, I think Scream is sort of like one of the more solid horror movie franchises. It just came out in a weird time for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. It came out when we were young.
Yeah.
When we were super young. Maybe I should go back and revisit those. But Marcus, that is Halloween Kills from Now Try This Cast, guys.
Woo!
Next week, we are going to be doing Dune. We're going to watch that this weekend and report back to you and come back on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/Now Try This Cast. Watch Dune. Talk about that great horror movie that is coming out.
I also would like for you to read the first chapter of Dune.
Oh, really? Is that a good chapter? First chapter is usually not great.
It's not great, but it gives you a vibe for the reading. I want you to get a vibe for the book and then watch the movie too.
Okay, I will read the first chapter of Dune, the book. Guys, go ahead and do that along with us if you would like. Marcus has read way more than that, so he'll be able to bring some tidbits of facts.
Let's go.
But guys, get at us everywhere at Now Try This Cast. Follow us. Join the conversation at patreon.com/NowTryThisCast. Come stream with us when we stream on Twitch. Come download the podcast. Let us know what's going on. And leave us 5-star reviews on iTunes. We love hearing from you. Let us know how we're doing and how not good we are doing. But leave 5 stars either way.
Leave 5 stars either way. Guys, it helps us out immensely. I feel like once we have some more free time, maybe we'll do a Patreon drive on Twitch where we'll just stream and hopefully try to get more patrons. I don't know. We'll do something. And speaking of Twitch, we stream every Thursday, and you can give us your free Amazon Prime subscription. If you have Amazon Prime, you have a free subscription, and you can help us a lot by giving us your monthly subscription. So that's all I have to say.
Facts.
And on that note, thank you for watching. Now go out there and try some things. Good night.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Marcus, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Great. I have written short thing for Marcus to read. He will do it live here for the first time. Hopefully it's not too badly written and he understands what I wrote.
You want me to read yours? I thought you were going to read yours.
To go first?
Yeah, read yours. Oh, you want me to read mine? What is happening? Am I reading
I thought
mine?
you were going to read mine.
Oh, you should just read your own.
Oh, last time we did it the other way. It was
Let's
funnier.
do it this way now.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, now okay, fine. All right. Well, play the music. Play this creepy
I'll
music.
play. There's spoopy music coming, guys, into your ear holes.
All right, guys. My short that I have written here is called The Fort. Don't make me laugh. I gotta be all creepy now.
Don't make me laugh. I gotta be creepy. Come on.
I gotta be creepy now. I was 7 the first time I saw her. A young blonde girl with freckles and a smile that caught you unawares. I remember thinking, is this what beautiful looks like? As her blue dress swayed from side to side, she was playing with some blankets, trying to make some sort of fort. She used 2 chairs, the edge of the bed, and a bookcase turned on its side. I was reluctant to go up to her and help, but when she noticed me watching, she reached out her hand and with inviting eyes said, I need help. The rest of the room was a mess. Books and trinkets thrown across the floor, shambles of discarded blankets, some torn to tie corners, some hanging precariously from the ceiling fan. As we pushed a table into the corner to hold our structure strong, cracking the foundation in the process, the girl held my hand tightly and said, now we're safe. When my mother walked in, she immediately began berating me for the mess she would now have to clean up. She asked me why I would do this. Why would I destroy my own room? When I tried to explain that I didn't cause this disaster, that I only wanted to help the girl finish, my mother could only reply, what girl? I have fond memories of my childhood home. A backyard with a peach tree we would make cobbler from every fall. A living room so small that my family and I would basically sit on each other's lap to watch television. An attic full of ancient treasures from lives lived before my own. But I never forgot the girl. From time to time, I would even look to the cracks in my adolescent room and remember that she said the fort was to make her safe. I regret not asking her safe from what. It was 2016. I was a senior in college and I had to go collect my things from my old home. My parents were retiring and the house was sold. It would be my last chance to receive any mementos from my past. It was snowing, so I was bundled up tight in a thrifted plaid coat. But I was surprised to see a light on the second floor. More surprised, it was my old room. And as I walked up the pathway leading to the front door, I saw her for the second time. Not aged a day. Same blonde hair, Same blue dress, same beautiful smile. I rushed into the front of my old home and gasped as I saw blankets everywhere. The entire house looked like that ramshackle fort from when I was little. I had to crawl in to make my way up the stairs, avoiding the web of bedding. I pushed through pillows and waded through duvets, making my way upstairs to the girl. My room looked almost the same as that day when my mother yelled at me, and there she stood smiling at me, outreached with her hand. I gave her mine. "Now we're safe," she said, squeezing my fingers. Safe from what? The question lingered in the air, having become stagnant, having been left unsaid like an idea that's too late to be useful. She just looked at me, the same hand outstretched and saying the same words. "Now we're safe." I jumped as I heard the sound of the door slamming behind me. I turned quickly to leave, but she did not let go of my hand. She squeezed tighter and repeated herself, "Now we're safe." Safe from what? I bellowed as I tried to free myself from her grip, one hand encased in hers, the other furiously turning the doorknob behind me. I yelled. I screamed. I cried as I pushed the blue-dressed girl away from me and ran out the door. The bedding was gone. The girl was gone. My question was not. Somehow, in the openness of my old home, I felt the most unsafe I ever felt. As I looked once more into my room, I stared at the cracks in the wall made to keep her safe. The wall was more cracked than before. You could see the foundation behind. Not just the foundation, but more. A blue dress, dulled by time, dressed on bones. I wish I stayed with her longer. I wish I felt more safe. I wish I could have helped her. But most of all, I wish I knew what was lurking behind me that I needed to be safe from.
Dun dun dun.
Creepy,
Spooky, creepy, spooky. I love
Spooky,
it.
spooky.
Okay, you ready?
I am ready for yours, Marcus.
The
What is the
escaped
title?
man.
Oh!
The rain was falling heavily. It was like driving through a thick curtain of water. He eased off the accelerator a little. Had to be careful driving on wild nights like these. The last thing you'd want is to have an accident or breakdown. You just want to be at home on these stormy nights. The thwack of the windscreen wipers was hypnotic. He stared out into the glow of the headlights. The rain sounded like white noise interference as it battered the car. He was reminded of the opening scenes of a Hitchcock film. Through the wash of the rain, he spotted a figure at the side of the road. The person wore a green parka and had their thumb jerked out. Why on earth would anyone be hitchhiking tonight? Surely you would just stay put until the morning. They must have been in a rush to get where they were going. He signaled down and pulled over. The hitchhiker climbed in. He shut the door quickly, glad to be out of the rain. He pulled his hood back and sighed. He was somewhere in his mid-20s and had wild red hair and a thick beard. "Awful night, eh?" said the driver. The hitchhiker held his gaze for a long moment. Drops of rainwater trickled down his face. Yes it is. The driver pulled out and continued through the storm. The hitchhiker glanced over his shoulder into the blackness behind him. "You okay?" The hitchhiker simply nodded. They drove on in silence for a short while. The BBC radio phone in blaring out from car speakers filled in for conversation. They listened to the radio and their own thoughts as they moved on. "Where are you headed?" asked the driver. "North," the hitcher pointed. "Are you traveling to visit friends?" The driver couldn't tell if that was a yes or a no. He adjusted his tie nervously. The hitcher stared at him in his suit and tie. The hitcher seemed scruffy in comparison, in his parka and Pink Floyd t-shirt. "Do you work around here?" asked the hitcher. "Yes," said the driver. "I was stuck late at the office. You know how it is." "No, not really." Again, they drifted into silence. The talk radio show carried on as they drove through the wind and rain. The hitcher shifted in his seat and stared out the windscreen. No music? The hitcher asked. What? Is there no music we could listen to? I like the talk radio shows. I'm not really a music fan. The hitcher's eyes glazed over for a moment. Then he spoke. I like listening to music. It calms me down. The driver said nothing. Several miles later, there was a news bulletin on the radio. The reporter tried to remain professional as she read the announcement. We are getting reports that a patient has escaped from a Manchester psychiatric institution. The man is said to be psychopathic, and is said to have a history of murder. The hitcher jabbed a finger on the button on the radio panel. Titty pop music blurted out from the speakers. The driver stared at the passenger, his question unasked. I hate the news, answered the hitcher. It's so depressing. It brings me down. There's never any good news, is there? The driver did not reply. Don't worry, I'm not the killer, said the hitcher, fidgeting with his coat. No, said the driver. I mean, no, of course you're not, aren't. They drove on listening to the crappy pop music and overexcited radio DJs. The rain pounded on the car. What do you do for a living? Asked the driver. The hitcher was quiet for a moment, then he grinned. I'm a writer. Really? How interesting. Have you had anything published? No. As of yet, I'm an undiscovered artist. I'm sure you will make it. What are you working on at the moment? I'm writing a novel. Yeah? It's about a serial killer. The driver did not speak. He flicked the talk radio station back on. A man was rambling on with himself about the change in days his wheelie bins were emptied. Where can I drop you? Asked the driver. The hitcher said nothing. When the driver glanced round, his passenger had his eyes closed. He was either asleep or feigning slumber. They drove on through the storm, down the snaking lanes. An hour later, the storm still growled and raged. The hitcher looked out the window. The driver steered the car in silence. Another news bulletin came over the radio. We're getting more information on the escaped patient. The killer's name is Simon Hughes. He escaped from the Green Pastures Institute earlier this evening. Simon Hughes made his escape by changing from his hospital-issue uniform into a suit and tie and pretending to be one of the medical staff. He stole a car and drove off. The hitcher turned to the driver. What did you say your name was? My name is Simon. The hitcher stared in shock. Simon grinned. The headlights of a passing car glinted off the knife's blade in Simon's hand. And that's the end of the story. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, it was the driver.
It was the driver, not the hitchhiker.
Oh my God. And now he's never going to finish his novel.
And now he's never going to finish his novel. Maybe the other guy can finish it for him.
The killer?
Yeah, maybe. You know what? I like the idea of being a writer.
I like to think a serial killer. Ooh, that sounds like a fun premise for a film. Somebody is a serial killer because it wants to like do their job.
Yeah.
Especially
100%.
in this new digital age, you know?
Yeah.
Like the whole string of serial killers just to try new things. It's like, I don't know, I get bored. I just want to try new things. Try being a writer, trying to be a doctor. It's like Catch Me
I
If
like
You
that.
Can, but
I
for
like
horror.
that a lot. An escaped serial killer tries to turn a new leaf, and he's just like trying different jobs out and like
Yeah.
killing people, taking
But
their
still
lives.
kills.
Yeah. He kills people, takes their lives. It's like, you know what? It's kind of actually hard to be a gas station attendant. I'm gonna go kill someone else.
And I feel like the lead would totally be someone that's like a comedian.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Like a Paul Rudd or something.
Okay, I'm gonna stop playing spooky music. Goodbye, spooky music.
It's so funny because I can't hear what you're playing the whole time. So
Mhm.
Marcus, thank you so much for sharing your writing. Thank you everyone out there. If you guys want us to write for you, let us know. We will.
Nick, I have a confession. I didn't write that one. I'm sorry.
You didn't
I
write it?
I didn't have time to write one. I just found one.
What?
Shout out to Lisa. There's nothing else about the person. It just says Lisa wrote this.
The fuck did I bend over backwards to fucking write you a scary story?
You did a great job. Yours was much better.
Thank you, it was. Yeah, I don't feel bad. It was a good twist though.
I know. I like the
Classic
twist. I was like, oh man, I gotta read this
This
one.
is great. And now we got a great pitch for a new movie we gotta write.
Hell yeah, let's do it. All we gotta do is pay Lisa $5. If you know Lisa, let us know.